lot of stories today. Number one, of course, is the race itself. Number two would be the weather. It is blistering hot. Temperature is 92 degrees. So a heat wave enveloping the east after 2 straight weeks of rain, and it's caused a lot of problems because at about 1 o'clock local time, or 3.5 hours ago, the main transformer blew here at Pimlico. A lot of power was lost to the clubhouse and grandstand in particular, and at one point even the photo finish and timing equipment was off. So let's get an update on the situation from the Major Domo here, Joe DeFrancis, who is with Leslie Visser. Leslie.
Al, it's been a complicated day at Pimlico. Joe DeFrancis, what is the status of the power right now?
Right now, Leslie, we have power restored to all sections of the facility except for parts of the main grandstand. But the infield is on, the clubhouse is on, the sports palace is on, everything to do with putting on the horse races is on. The only thing out are certain first and second level of the grandstand still.
You are simulcast around the country on an uplink, but your betting windows were down all day. Did you ever consider rescheduling the race?
No, we really didn't, because the uplink was up. We only lost the uplink for about 10 minutes during the whole day, so we had the uplink for most of the day, and we had all power to all functions associated with putting on the races, the starting gate, the photo finish, so we never really considered canceling the race.
As you know, this is the most profitable day of the year, the day that makes you profitable for the year. How much money will you lose?
It's hard to estimate at this time, but we figure about $2 million of wagering handle due to the closing of the pari-mutuel windows when the power was down.
A tough day for you. Well, Al, the first aid has reported an significant increase in heat exhaustion, but otherwise this record crowd of 91,000 has been remarkably patient and well behaved. Al.
Thank you, Leslie. Well, to this point, it really has been a star-crossed Preakness. 2 weeks ago, we brought you the Kentucky Derby, and this race has shaped up as more of a demolition derby because earlier in the week, 3 outstanding horses had to be scratched. Indian Charlie, who might have been the favorite, the third-place finisher in the Kentucky Derby, worked out at Churchill Downs on Tuesday, but when he came back, his trainer, Bob Baffert, did not like the way he looked, thought he was losing weight, and he said he will not race here. Earlier that morning here at Pimlico, Hallery Hunter, who had finished 4th in the Kentucky Derby, trained by Nick Zito, owned by Celtics coach Rick Pitino, broke his left foreleg. Later that day, operated on outside Philadelphia. He's fine, but his racing career is probably over. There he was in bandages. And just yesterday, Coronado's Quest, who didn't run in the Derby, suffered a bruised hoof in a gallop at Belmont. He was scratched, and here's what his trainer, Shug McGahee, had to say.
You know, we were really, really excited about coming here. We were looking forward to it. As we all know in this business, this stuff happens, and you just got to take a back step and try to put things back together. And, you know, like I say, hopefully we'll be ready for the Metropolitan Mile, and if we can run good there, then maybe we'll give it a shot in the Belmont.
Joined now by Dave Johnson as well as Chris McCarron. And gents, let's take a look at the post positions, which are always a factor in any race, and we'll graphically see from which holes the horses will come out from today. Spartan Cat on the inside, then Black Cash and Classic Cat. Cape Town, a late runner from 4. BAQUERO, a front runner from 6. And then the 2 big horses, Victory Gallop and Real Quiet, the Derby winner and second place horse, out of 9 and 10. And Chris McCarron, how difficult does this make it for them? How much are they compromised having to start from the outside?
He could be severely compromised again, Victory Gallop, that is. Since he lost so much ground in the Derby, he had to run so much faster than everybody else. He only got beat a half a length. If he gets stuck out there again, it's gonna cost him quite a bit. But he's an awful nice horse, and the horse has been screaming at Elliott, run me, run me, run me. So here he is running. He's going to be tough.
Tighter turns here and a lot shorter distance to the first turn as well.
That's right. You got about a 1/16 of a mile shorter run to the first turn, which is going to force Gary and on Victory Gallop and Kent on Real Quiet to call on all their expertise to try to get over and save some ground.
Dave, we all know about the Derby and how infrequently favorites have won in recent years. This is a different kind of race. Through history, the favorite has won an amazing 51% of the time, but the favorite and second choice are going to have a hard time today with these posts.
There have been 42 runnings of the Preakness with 10 or more horses. Of those, the 10 hole has only won 1 time. That was Greek Money 36 years ago. Almost as bad for the 9, only twice out of 56 runs.
These conditions brought to you by Budweiser. The purse for the first time in history, $1 million, $650,000 to the winner. The distance, a mile and 3/16 or 110 yards shorter than the Kentucky Derby. Fast track, all the horses carry 126, temperature 92 degrees. And there was some controversy earlier in the week with Coronado's Quest. The trainers saying, why would he be given any special privileges? He was a bad actor during the post parade. Wouldn't you know it, Wayne Lucas's 2 horses are allowed to be saddled inside and away from the heat today. So that's a story in itself. And let's talk, Dave, about one of those horses, BAQUERO, who figures to be on the front end early.
And he's a little more than a rabbit. I think you're going to see him take this field deeper into the race than a lot of people thought. Silver's Prospect might have a little bit of speed on the outside, but expect BAQUERO to be in front to the half mile. Now, Pat Day was the last jockey to win it wire to wire, 46-1. That's what he got to the half with Louis Quatorze.
Owned by Bob and Beverly Lewis. Another horse who may press the pace. Let's take a look at him, Dave, and that's Black Cash.
And his conditioner, Patrick Byrne, has a great success rate, 30% winning with horses second off a long layoff. This horse fits that pattern.
Now, Chris McCarron, they always say, it's the oldest cliche in the book, pace makes the race. So in regard to which pace we see develop today, what will that mean for Victory Gallop? Because he'll have to come from behind.
He will come from behind today, Al, but he's got a little bit more speed than he showed in the Kentucky Derby, and I think Gary's going to probably put him in the race a little bit early today and try to keep him closer than he was last time, so he won't be so much a victim of a false pace up there.
Especially coming from one of the outside posts. And then there's Cape Town, another horse, Chris, who is trained by Wayne Lucas. No excuses in Kentucky. He just didn't fire.
No, he sure didn't have any excuses, but I tell you what, his greatest attribute is his consistency. He's right there every time he runs, and you have to worry about Wayne Lucas. He's done it 3 times before, coming back with horses that have run disappointingly in the Derby and winning the Preakness with them.
And Jerry Bailey is on his back, and by the way, for the record, Jerry Bailey today at Pimlico has already won 4 stakes races, 4 of them. Dave, if you're looking for a live long shot, a lot of people thought it might be Hot Wells, but I'm looking at the board right now, and he's 23-1.
But a lot of people thought that in defeat, Hot Wells was better than the winner of the Arkansas Derby. He's had 5 weeks rest. He's got the leading rider of Pimlico now on his back, and win or lose, remember the young trainer's name, Tom Amos. This guy is good.
And Chris McCarron, we have talked a lot today, of course, about Real Quiet, but let's take a final look at him and get your final thoughts about this horse. And how does he look to you standing there right now?
Well, if you judge your opinion on how a horse is going to run by his appearance, this horse is a winner right there. He looks awesome. Kent looks very confident. He's going to be very tough. Just hope that he doesn't lose too much ground on the first turn.
In about 18 minutes, we'll know if we have a Triple Crown possibility. It'll be the first since 1978 when Affirmed swept the 3 races. Boys, it's time to go to the windows. Mr. McCarron, your bet is?
Victory Gallop. I have the utmost confidence in Alex Solis's selection, and that's who he's taking, so that's who I'm going to pick. Okay,
Victory Gallop right now, the 9-5 favorite. Mr. Johnson?
Without Coronado's Quest in here, I'll go with the long shot BAQUERO, wire to wire. How about you, Al?
I think you and I are from the same loony bin. BAQUERO has never been more than 7 furlongs. He'll have to go 550 yards farther than at any point in his career today, but it's Lucas and it's Day and it's Bob and Beverly Lewis. I like BAQUERO. Charlesy.
One quick update from the paddock here. Silver's Prospect, a long shot, reared up and flipped over backwards while he was being saddled, so Coronado's Quest was not missed. We had someone taking his delinquent place. As far as my pick today, Gary Stevens could ride a broom and win these days. I'll go with Victory Gallop. Leslie?
Charlesy, only one horse has won from the 10-hole, but Real Quiet is fit enough and fast enough to win this Preakness, and I think he will show us that a fish can sprint. Jim, who do you like?
Victory Gallop will win the Preakness with Real Quiet second in another stirring stretch duel. Third, I like Spartan Cat for a couple of bucks.
Stakes. Spartan Cat, a horse with local connections. His owner is Peter Angelis, the owner of the Baltimore Orioles. Rick Wilson in the irons. This horse last ran in the Tessio Stakes, and he was 5th in that race. Black Cash is number 2 from the Frank Stronach stable. Patrick Byrne, outstanding trainer. Shane Sellers in the irons, right now at odds of 7-1. Number 3 is Classic Cat, trained by David Cross. We spoke with him earlier. Robbie Alvarado in the irons. This is the horse who came east, won the Lexington Stakes, and has won more than $300,000. Number 4 would have been Coronado's Quest, scratched yesterday. Number 5 is Cape Town with the connections. William T. Young, Overbrook Farm. Wayne Lucas seeks his 5th Preakness, and we told you about the great day enjoyed so far by Hall of Famer Jerry Bailey. Basic trainee number 6, a trouble trip in Kentucky, and he finished 73 lengths back, was eased at the end, but he's in the race today. Jorge Romero trains. Cornelio Velasquez in the saddle. BAQUERO is number 7. Bob and Beverly Lewis, the owners of Silver Charm, are his owners. It's the Lucas Day connection. Pat Day has won this race 5 times. He could tie Eddie Arcaro for most victories at 6 with a win today. Hot Wells is number 8. Mike Lasky owns him. Tom Amos is the trainer. And Edgar Prado, great local rider in the iron. Sentimental choice here amongst the crowd. Last race 4th in the Arkansas Derby. The horse that flipped about 10 minutes ago, Silver's Prospect, but the bettor's not flipping over him. He's 80-1. As the owner wanted him in the race. Got a good table in the Turf Club. Gene Rofe trains. Frankie Douglas, who survived a devastating injury last year at Timonium in the irons. Good to see him back. Victory Gallop is number 10, trained by Elliott Walden. Gary Stevens replaces Alex Solis. Chris McCarron talked about Solis loving this horse's chances, but Alex not in the irons today. It's Gary Stevens. Victory Gallop is the favorite. And number 11 is Real Quiet, now 5-2. The co-second choice, Bob Baffert, the trainer. Kent Desormeaux, the jockey. This horse has won $1,319,000. Let's go back to Jim McKay. Jim.
Al, as you know, there's a lot of sentiment in this wonderful, sometimes heartbreaking sport of horse racing. Consider the case of Mary Epler. Mary's a trainer here at Pimlico. But when I met her 15 years ago, she was a waitress at the Valley Inn and had one 9-year-old gelding she dragged in an old horse van up to the little Charlestown track in West Virginia. Well, last year she trained a 2-year-old named Victory Gallop. But when that horse was sold, the new owner took him to Elliott Walden in Kentucky. As all the world knows, of course, Victory Gallop finished 2nd in the Kentucky Derbies as the favorite today. But when the colt was shipped to Baltimore, Elliott Walden passed up a stall in the stakes barn with the other Preakness horses. He took Victory Gallop to Mary Epler's barn. He thought it was only appropriate for the horse to come home to have a reunion with Mary Epler.
Post time with Victory Gallop still your favorite at 9-5. Farm Away owns the track record in the Pimlico Special in 1991, 152-2. Louis Quatorze and Tank's Prospect share the Preakness Stakes mark at 153-2. Kent Desormeaux and Bob Baffert, will they be heading to New York in 3 weeks of hype preparatory to the Belmont Stakes, as was the case for Bob Baffert last year? And the horses are ready to load this field of 10 for the 123rd running of the Preakness Stakes. And for the call of the race, Dave Johnson.
You might think there would be an advantage to having a fresh horse, but think about this. The last 14 winners of the Preakness all came out of the Kentucky Derby. Let's see what happens here. They're moving into line. Cape Town is in. Jerry Bailey looking for his 5th winner of the afternoon.
Dave, this is one of those times where everything has to be in sync. There are 4 individuals that need to be together. The jock, the horse, the assistant starter, and the starter. They all have to be in sync in order for that horse to get away properly.
Hot Wells, Edgar Prado. There's Patrick Byrne, the trainer of Black Cash.
Got one back. That's all right, Brucey. Try him like
the Kentucky Derby winner, Real Quiet.
Back him up. There we go.
Ball in line. And they're off in the Preakness. And Hot Wells stumbled at the start, but recovers quickly. On the outside, Silver's Prospect to the front. BAQUERO with the white blinkers is right there and now emerges with a short lead. Basic Trainee is next at the rail. It's Black Cash, and now Black Cash engages BAQUERO, but BAQUERO on the outside with a short lead at the first turn. Black Cash stalking the leader now. Basic Trainee on the outside, and the blue cap is 3rd. Cape Town in good position in 4th. Followed on the outside by Silver's Prospect, now 5th. Classic Cat is 6th. Between horses, Victory Gallop is 7th. A lot closer today, but right alongside is the Derby winner, Real Quiet. Then a gap of 4 lengths, Hot Wells and Spartan Kent. 23 2/5 seconds for the first quarter. Down the backstretch, it's BAQUERO leading the pack by 3/4 of a length. He reached the half in 46 1. Pat Day has him on the front end by 1. Basic Trainee on the outside is 2nd. Middle of the racetrack, there goes Victory Gallop with the green cap, and there goes Cape Town. Now 4 of them battle up front. Around the far turn, BAQUERO still has the lead.
Cape Town between horses. Along the inside, the long shot facing TRAINEE. And on the outside, there goes Real Quiet. Real Quiet, boldly moving up 4 wide. Victory Gallop from between horses. BAQUERO at the rail is still there as they turn for home in the Preakness. Real Quiet on the outside to the front. Victory Gallop on the inside. Desormeaux and Stevens. Down the stretch they come. On the outside, it's Real Quiet taking command and drawing clear. With Victory Gallop second and a late charge from Classic Cat. But here we come to the finish, and it's going to be Real Quiet, the Derby winner, gets the Preakness, and it's Victory Gallop second, followed by Classic Cat third. The same finish as the Derby. Deja vu. Kent Desormeaux gets the victory after 2 weeks ago getting the Preakness. After getting the Preakness today after 2 weeks ago. And Bob Baffert, who won the Derby and the Preakness last year, has done it again. And Real Quiet becomes the 27th horse to win the Derby and the Preakness. Elliott Walden again second place today in a Classic. There's his horse, Victory Gallop.
So he makes this trip again to the winner's circle, Bob Baffert. And we mentioned at the top, this race very often serves as a validation. How good is the Kentucky Derby winner? And there was some doubt about Real Quiet. He wasn't a particularly fast Derby. And you could look at him and criticize the race itself and say that it was a very slow last quarter and all of the rest. But when push comes to shove, in 21 days, if this horse stays healthy, we are looking at a Triple Crown possibility at Belmont Park in New York as Real Quiet wins the Preakness. This was a horse purchased for $17,000. So it is really the ultimate dream come true, because you all know about horses and the fact you can spend $500,000 or $1 million and sometimes even $2 million for great bloodstock. And then occasionally you go to a sale, as did Bob Baffert, and you pick one out for $17,000. And he wins the Kentucky Derby, he wins the Preakness, and in 3 weeks we'll find out if we have the first Triple Crown winner since 1978, when Affirmed swept the Derby, the Preakness, and the Belmont. Let's go to the far turn right now as we have Chris McCarron and Dave Johnson here, and we'll pick it up as the horse begins to make his move here, Chris.
And
yes,
there's the eventual winner. Right there, moving up on the outside, as BAQUERO had the lead, but there is Real Quiet on the outside.
I thought it might have been a little bit of a premature, Dave, because they made such a bold move leaving the half-mile pole together, Victory Gallop and Real Quiet. It looked to me like it was premature. And then when Real Quiet's ears went up, that means the horse usually is a very good indication that the horse has a lot of gas left in the tank. So when Kent reached and spanked him left-handed, he really responded just like he did in the Kentucky Derby. He's finishing very well. Now Kent's looking back for competition and can't see anybody.
And he may have moved him, Chris, at the same relative place that he did in the Derby, because he started him a little early in Louisville as well.
That's correct, and I'm sure he was moving because Gary was moving on Victory Gallop. He was going to keep that tough horse in his sights.
Al, this is a horse that nobody in his early career thought that he was a great horse. He only won 2 of his first 12 races, but you have to be very good to win the Derby and the Preakness.
The reaction of Kent Desormeaux, a coming of age in Louisville 2 weeks ago, and now complete validation for him as he takes this horse without the great bloodlines and takes him to the winner's circle. And for Bob Baffert now and Mike Pegram, their reaction.
Bob's got that lucky tie on.
And he'll have it on at Belmont Park 3 weeks from today as well. There's no doubt about that. And in the interim, Kent Desormeaux will go back and run at Hollywood Park and then come back to New York. And we'll see if we have our first Triple Crown winner in 20 years. So Real Quiet, a lot of bettors thought he would be compromised by that outside post, the tighter turns, the shorter run to the first turn here at Pimlico, but it didn't matter. Let's go to Charles Canty.
Well, I'm with Gary Stevens, who was aboard Victory Gallop. A good ride, Gary, a good run, but just couldn't quite catch that other horse.
No match for the winner today. No excuses for our horse. I tried to take control of the race at the half-mile pole. Real Quiet was outside of us and behind us most of the trip. I got outside at the half-mile pole and was able to make the move I wanted to, and Kent just like he breezed by me whenever he wanted to. It's a gutty little horse I rode. He gave him another run inside of the 8th pole, but Real Quiet just ran away from us.
Think a mile and a half will make a difference?
Well, I couldn't pull this colt up after the race. He's just real steady, so hopefully he'll come out of this race good, and we'll get to try him back in the Belmont.
Try him one more time. Gary, thanks a lot. Back to Al.
Okay, thank you, Charlesy. The horse going off at odds of 5-2, so he will pay in the neighborhood of $7. He was the second choice. And for Desormeaux, well, it's a homecoming of sorts. You know the story. We showed it to you before. From Louisiana originally, but got his eye teeth here. The Clan Baffert. You betcha. He is the king. He is the king of the thoroughbred world right now. And it is official. The results are official. The prices will be delayed as they are at racetracks across the country these days until they get all of the information in from the other tracks. And per custom, a painter painting the colors of Real Quiet of Mike Pagram's stable on the horse up on the cupola. So Real Quiet wins the Kentucky Derby and pays in excess of $18, comes back and wins the Preakness today and will pay in the neighborhood of $7.
Well, it's a real privilege for me now for the presentation of the most valuable trophy in American sport, by the way, for the presentation of the Woodlawn Vase to introduce the Governor of Maryland, the Honorable Paris Glendenning. Governor?
Joe, thank you very much, and congratulations to the Jockey Club. I just want to say to Mike how pleased we are on behalf of all 5 million Marylanders, not only to present this to you, but wish you well. One more step to go, and we're with you. Congratulations.
Thank you,
wonderful
Governor.
to you and the whole team.
Okay. By the way, Mike, that baby cost $10,000, and this one is invaluable. Charlesy?
Mike, congratulations. You've certainly learned something today. You now know truly what the Preakness is.
I learned what the Preakness is, and I also found out Santa Claus does come to Maryland in May. I love hot weather, I love Maryland, and I love Real Quiet.
All right, now, do you know your way to New York? Because you've got to go for the third leg of the Triple Crown and the $5 million visa bonus.
I don't think New York's going to experience what we're going to show them up there.